Welcome to part 2 of my vlog, The Pro-Life Scam. This segment is entitled, A Dangerous Endgame. As I reported in the previous video, the USCCB, at their most recent plenary session, once again declared abortion to be the priority issue going into the 2024 presidential election. The USCCB celebrated the overturning of Roe v. Wade a year and a half ago, and state conferences of Catholic bishops have aggressively opposed ballot measures that would enshrine abortion rights into state constitutions. These efforts, however, are proving to be in vain, as the majority of Americans support abortion as a fundamental right, as demonstrated at state elections in 2022 and 2023. I also reported that the abortion rate has been in steady decline over the past 40 years, and that the abortion rate dramatically dropped during the Democratic administrations of Clinton and Obama. In both administrations of Republicans Bush #1 and Bush #2, the abortion rate increased, and during the administration of Donald Trump, the abortion rate spiked dramatically upward. Why is this fact not recognized by our supposedly pro-life USCCB? Some bishops with the greatest influence in the USCCB are unapologetically in the pockets of wealthy Republican donors such as Tim Bush and his Napa Institute. They ignore Pope Francis and his clearly stated mission to prioritize welcoming the marginalized and the migrant, as well as caring for the environment. These bishops choose to promote the agenda of their wealthy conservative donors who deny the effects of climate change and ignore the scourge of military-style weapons in our society. We are not living in normal times. The 2024 presidential election is not about issues, but about saving our democracy. Despite the 91 counts charged in 4 indictments, including crimes that would seriously compromise our national security, the horror show that was the Trump administration is threatening to return 100-fold with pledges to destroy the Constitution and dissolve every freedom we now take for granted. Republican former Congress members Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger, who share the same views on abortion as the USCCB, are adamant that Donald Trump should never be president or hold any other public office again. They both warned that the path upon which the Republican Party has set itself is hell-bent on the destruction of the Constitution and the rule of law, and the creation of an authoritarian dictatorship. Tragically, moneyed right-wing influencers have seduced some powerful U.S. Catholic bishops into believing that Republican politicians pressing for federal bans on abortion are the only candidates any Catholic voter should support, regardless of how destructive are their other policies or ideological beliefs. The extremist right-wing conservative movement has been using deceit and disinformation regarding the abortion issue as a means to guilt Catholics and evangelical voters into supporting vile, corrupt politicians who enrich the wealthy and tyrannize the poor. They do not care about the unborn. Their carefully crafted language focuses solely on legal protection of the unborn and nothing else. The USCCB has gone so far as to insert into the U.S. Roman Missal an annual votive mass for legal protection of the unborn on January 22nd. A great deal of effort and expense is devoted throughout the year by the USCCB to promote legal protection of the unborn in annual novenas, participation in the March for Life, 40 Days for Life, Pro-Life Month in October, and on and on and on and on. Occasionally weak statements from the USCCB on legislative measures that would financially benefit poor mothers or address other issues surrounding the health and well-being of children and families do not measure up to the efforts surrounding the single-issue, single-remedy cause of legal protection for the unborn. The same is true about other issues, including the humane treatment of migrants and asylum seekers, as well as environmental issues. I have yet to see any kind of statement from the USCCB regarding the ban of assault rifles, despite data demonstrating the spike in mass shootings since the previous ban expired under the second Bush administration. Republicans do not support programs that in any way lift up struggling families. If they do value life in the womb, why do they not push for a tax deduction or credit for the preborn human being carried by a pregnant mother? For the past 50 or more years, there has been a non-political, non-profit organization known as Birthright International. They are devoted to providing assistance to pregnant women facing difficulties and operate entirely from cash contributions and volunteers. At the time of this recording, the closest office are located miles away from where I live. There had been 2 offices closer to me, but they apparently have vanished. Why do these valiant pro-life folks with deep pockets not flood this organization with financial support? The truth is obvious. Right-wing wealthy Catholic donors prefer to pour money into the pockets of Republican candidates who give them tax breaks and help them grow richer. They have seduced U.S. bishops into subliminally directing the Catholic faithful into believing that Republican candidates are authentically pro-life, when it is clear they are not. At the first Democratic presidential debate in January of 2020, the primary issue discussed was not abortion. I do not remember any mention of it at all. Although Joe Biden did bring it up, COVID had still not yet become a pandemic. Only one matter dominated the debate that night: health care. The abortion issue came into focus over time following the election of Joe Biden and the revelations made at the January 6th hearings. Any sane individual living here on Earth 1 can clearly see the great amount of damage and chaos created by Donald Trump and the current Republican Party over the past several years. They should also note that both Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis are poor choices for president, given their historical support of Trump and Trumpism, and their willingness to minimize his crimes and even pardon him for them. Both Adam Kinzinger and Liz Cheney have publicly stated that a Democratic-controlled administration is the only hope to save our democracy. They have admitted that their Republican former colleagues in Congress are not trustworthy and have traded every decent principle for the sake of money and power. Please do not forget that the overturning of Roe v. Wade took place in a poisoned process of deceit and subterfuge. All 5 conservative justices lied under oath at their confirmation hearings when they stated that Roe v. Wade was established law by precedent and could not be overturned. Then, in the past year and a half, under cover of darkness, they obliterated Roe by supporting the Dobbs decision. No matter how noble you may believe your cause to be, if you have to rely upon lies and cheating in order to win your fight, then maybe there is something fundamentally flawed in your belief system. My story about the deceitful, manipulative manner by which a group of reactionary nuns banished my friend from her monastery back in the 1980s opened my eyes long ago to the evil that exists in this authoritarian mindset that has poisoned American Catholicism over the past 40+ years. Do not be intimidated by bishops who threaten to deny sacraments to those who support Democratic candidates. These bishops are blind followers in a poisonous cult hell-bent on destroying the United States. No bishop can threaten hell or excommunication to those who vote according to their consciences. The data is clear. If you truly want to save the unborn, vote Democratic.